The alien girl's body shimmered in the dim, bioluminescent glow of the cavern, slender and elegant above the waist, but her lower half was a spider's nightmare come alive. 8 glossy black limbs spread from her abdomen, each joint gleaming like polished obsidian. She moved with a predator's grace, her silver eyes reflecting his trembling form as if sizing him up for a meal. He'd crash-landed on the planet Arrakis 9 only hours ago, separated from his exploration pod and half delirious from hunger. When the ground beneath him had shifted and webbed hands had pulled him from the dirt, he thought it was over. Now, the creature loomed close, her mandibles clicking softly, not menacingly, but in what seemed like nervous curiosity. Don't eat me, Ethan stammered, backing against the cave wall. The girl tilted her head. Eat you? Her voice was melodic, her common tongue accented but clear. Do humans think like prey? That confused him enough to stop shaking. You're a spider, he said, and I'm the only warm-blooded thing around. What am I supposed to think? Her fangs twitched upward, almost like a smile. You smell of fear. It is intoxicating, but not nourishing. She leaned forward, her pale, soft-skinned face inches from his. If I wanted to eat you, I would not have wrapped you in healing silk. Ethan looked down. Indeed, his wounded leg, slashed open during the crash, was cocooned in a warm, faintly glowing thread. The bleeding had stopped. The pain had faded. Somehow, she'd tended to him. You helped me? I saved you, she corrected. You fell into my territory. My web recognized your pulse as foreign, but not hostile. Her silver eyes flickered. I have never met a human before. He swallowed, slowly sitting up. And I've never met an arachnid alien before. So we're even. She made a soft clicking sound. Amusement, perhaps? You may call me Tvani. Ethan, he said, unsure whether shaking hands was appropriate. Thanks for not, eating me. Tvani's mandibles curved again. You still assume hunger is all we live for. Over the next few days, Ethan learned that Arrakis 9 was no lifeless wasteland. It was a thriving, web-laced world of towering crystal caverns and underground cities made of spun silk. Tvani was part of a species called the Vrak, half human, half arachnid beings known for their craftsmanship and predatory instinct. She brought him water filtered through crystalline threads, fed him spongy fruits that tasted faintly of honey, and listened to stories about Earth with quiet fascination. I thought humans were all teeth and claws beneath the skin, she said one night as they sat near a glowing silk cocoon that served as a hearth. You speak of compassion as if it's instinct. He chuckled softly. And I thought you were going to drain me dry. Tvani's eyes glinted. Still think that? He hesitated. Sometimes. She reached forward, one of her slender black legs brushing his arm. The touch was surprisingly gentle. Then let me show you what I want. Ethan froze as she leaned closer, but instead of biting him, she pressed a small silvery orb into his hand. It was warm, vibrating faintly. It's called a Enide Seed, she explained. A link device. Among the Vrak, we share them only with those we trust. It connects thoughts, memories, feelings. He blinked. You want to connect minds? Her mandibles twitched nervously. Only if you consent. It is how we bond, communicate beyond words. You are alone. I thought you might wish not to be. He stared at the glowing orb, heart pounding. Every rational part of his brain screamed that letting an alien spider girl into his head was insane. But the loneliness of space travel, the shock of being stranded, it all pressed against his chest until he found himself whispering, Do it. Tvani's expression softened. She pressed her hand against his, closing his fingers around the orb. A pulse of warmth spread up his arm, into his chest, and suddenly, his mind flooded with sensation. He felt her emotions, curiosity, shyness, an aching yearning she kept buried under layers of control. He saw flashes of her life, weaving vast silk bridges under stars, watching her broodmates pair off while she stayed alone, called strange for her interest in soft-skinned aliens. And then she felt him. The grief of losing his crew, the fear of dying nameless on a foreign world, the fragile hope that someone, anyone, might understand. When the connection faded, they sat in silence. I didn't know, Ethan murmured. You're lonely too. Tvani looked down, her voice small. You were afraid I wanted to devour you, but all I wanted was to understand what made you so human. Days turned into weeks. Ethan's leg healed fully. He learned to walk the silken bridges of the cavern city, guided by Tvani's patient instructions. The Vrak elders tolerated his presence, though many whispered and clicked their mandibles disapprovingly when he passed. One night, after returning from a foraging trip, Ethan found Tvani spinning silk strands between 2 crystal pillars. The patterns glowed faintly blue. What's that? He asked. A message web, she replied, not looking up. We weave our thoughts into thread. This one speaks of a joining. A joining. Tvani's gaze flicked to him. A union of 2 minds. 2 lives. You and I have already shared the seed. The next step is a vow. He froze. Vow? You mean marriage? She nodded, folding her lower limbs gracefully beneath her. In your terms, perhaps. It is not a demand. Merely what my kind does when the bond deepens. Ethan rubbed his neck awkwardly. Tvani, humans don't exactly do interspecies relationships. Especially with arachnids, she finished softly. I mean, I know what you meant. Her voice was quiet, but her silver eyes shimmered with sadness. You still see me as something monstrous. He stepped closer, guilt tightening his chest. No, I see you as someone who saved my life. Someone who listens, who made me feel less alone. Tvani's gaze softened. Then perhaps that is enough. The crash beacon finally came online weeks later, after Ethan scavenged enough parts from his wrecked pod. A rescue signal would reach orbit within hours. When he told Tvani, her legs stiffened slightly. "You will leave." "I have to," he said gently. "My people will come for me." "I know." She turned away, her mandibles trembling faintly. "Then let me give you something before you go." She approached, carrying a small silk-wrapped bundle. Inside lay a silver ring woven from glowing thread, the same material as the NID seed. "It will hum when I think of you," she whispered, "so you will know I am alive." Ethan swallowed hard. "You didn't have to." She touched his face with a trembling hand. "You feared I wanted to eat you," she said softly. "But what I truly wanted was to keep you." For the first time, he didn't recoil from her touch. He pressed his hand over hers, the warmth of her skin surprisingly human. "Maybe," he said, "I'll come back someday." Tvani's silver eyes shimmered with light. "Then I will weave the path for you." When the rescue craft finally descended, Ethan turned one last time toward the cavern entrance. Far below, Tvani stood upon her web, 8 limbs poised in perfect stillness, watching him leave. A faint vibration ran through the ring on his finger, a pulse of thought that wasn't words but feeling. Not goodbye, just until again. And for the first time, Ethan realized how wrong his fear had been. The alien Arachnid girl had never wanted to consume him. She only wanted to be known, and to love in the only way her kind could. He looked down at the glowing ring and whispered, "Until again, Tvani."